Hey guys, it's Prince Rich with Rich Technology Group, and the title of today's video is Stop Paying Too Much for Analog Lines. Seriously, if you're watching this video and you're using an old phone system, or you don't have a phone system and you're using analog lines, the question is why? A recent study showed that approximately 34%, or it wasn't even 34%, it was approximately 31% of the United States business market is currently using voice over IP. So that means that there is an approximate, some other 68 to 70% of people who are still using analog lines. And the question is why? Today I'm going to talk to you about why it doesn't make any sense for you to be using analog lines, why they're overpriced. I'm even going to break down the prices for you guys, and we're going to discuss so that you can understand, if you're watching this and you are using analog lines, you can really see just how much money you're quite literally throwing out of the window. So, and not only are you throwing money out of the window, you are throwing money out of the window and paying for something that actually is of a lesser service in comparison to voice over IP. So, first of all, analog lines, what are they? POTS, as we call it, which is the acronym for it, which stands for Plain Old Telephone Service. All of you who are watching this, and unless you're in high school or something like that, you know what dial-up internet is. You remember the old dial-up internet days when people had AOL and things like that. That was an actual telephone line, an analog line as we call it, or POTS line, coming into the back of your computer that was delivering internet service over dial-up connection, over analog copper. That is basically same thing like you use for a fax, same thing you use to make a phone call on like a home phone or something like that. That's not a cellular phone or a home-based voice over IP phone. That's an analog line. The short of it is, analog lines are not only a thing of the past, they're expensive in comparison to voice over IP. We're going to break it down. So, analog line, let's break it down. As you guys know who are watching this, we represent pretty much all carriers. I represent Comcast, Verizon, Spectrum Business, Cox Communications, the list goes on and on and on. So I know what these guys charge. To give you guys an idea that are watching this, the average analog line costs somewhere within the realm of $29.99 per month per line to, I've seen them as high as $39.99 per month, and I think the highest I've ever seen is somewhere in the realm of $42 to $46 per line per month. So for the sake of conversation, we can just go ahead and round it up and just say the average analog line costs somewhere around $30 to $40 per month per line. Okay. Now, if you look at the comparison of voice over IP doesn't charge per line. They charge for what is called extensions. So to break it down into a visual context, for those of you who are watching, imagine an office that has 4 persons. Okay. Every 4 person in that office would, in theory, have a phone on their desk, a desk phone, whether it be a Cisco or Polycom or, an Avaya or whatever it may be. They've got a phone that is sitting on their desk. In the VoIP world, voice over IP isn't priced by lines, it is priced by extensions. So those 4 people that you have 4 phones. That would be priced as 4 extensions. In the voice over IP world, it's safe to say on the low end or even on the mid-grade end for some of the really noteworthy carriers like Vonage Business, Ring Central, or Nextiva, you would basically be looking at somewhere in the ballpark of $19.99 to $24.99 per month per extension, not line, per extension, which as we've predefined is a phone on a desk, okay? So let's round that up like we did with the analog lines and say you would be looking at somewhere within the realm of $20 to $25 per month per extension. In our scenario, you have 4 persons in the office, so that's 4 extensions, okay? So you would be, let's just round up and say you would be looking at 4 times $25 per month. Now here's where the kicker is, so follow me here. In the analog world, it's all priced by lines. So the higher amount of phones that you have, it gets astronomically expensive because it doesn't have to do with seats or phones at a desk, it has to do with lines. For example, you could be a company that has 4 phones, like in our scenario, 4 persons that need a phone, but you may have, say, 15 phone lines coming in because you have such a high call volume. So you would be paying a lot. Now, if you move that over to the voice over IP scenario, you have voice over IP, as we discussed, doesn't charge for phones, it charges for lines. The way that voice over IP works is you have as many lines as your phone supports. I'm going to give you some examples so that this makes sense, okay? We'll use my company as an example. For my company, we use Vonage Business, and I have approximately 4 extensions. I have 3 other persons in the office, an administrative assistant, and then I have a couple of salespersons that have the phone. So we have the 4 phones. So I'm on a lower tier, of course, because I'm a dealer. So I'm paying $19.99 per month per extension. So I have 4 extensions. So you do the math. That's like right around like approximately like $80 or something like that before taxes and whatnot. It's safe to say $20 per month per extension. So 20 times 4 plus taxes and so on and so forth. So basically, for me, we're just going to use me in this scenario to give you an idea of how you get way more bang for your buck and why you should not be paying for analog lines in this day and age in the 21st century. So basically, I have a phone that is a Polycom VVX300. The Polycom VVX300 is a desk phone, and it is a 6-line capable phone. Because my phone system doesn't use lines and it uses bandwidth on the internet, I have as many lines as my phone supports and my bandwidth allows. I have more than enough bandwidth to have dozens of lines on my network, so that's not the issue. Taking it back into comparison, my Polycom VVX300 is a 6-line capable phone, which means it has 6 lines, and I can be on the phone with one person and have 5 other people call me, place them on hold, transfer them out, whatever. I have 6-line capability coming to just my phone, but I'm only paying $19.99 a month for that phone. Now, if we go back to the astronomically high cost of analog lines, as we discussed before, they average somewhere around $30 to $40 a month per line. You see what's happening here? I'm paying $19.99 for 1 month, per month, for one phone that has 6-line capability. Oh, but it gets better. I also have a second device on my extension, which doesn't cost me any extra other than just buying the equipment. I have a Link cordless phone that is also connected to my extension because my Polycom VVX300 is not mobile. It's just a desk phone. If I need to step outside or walk around the office, I can pick up my Link cordless phone, which is also a 2-line phone. So I actually have a 6-line capable Polycom phone plus a 2-line capable Link phone connected to one extension that I'm only paying $19.99 before taxes per month for. So the short of it is, if you're watching this video and you're using analog, you're paying too much. I have worked with literally dozens and dozens of customers across the United States. Most of them will send me their phone bill from Verizon or Comcast or whoever it is and say, hey, Prince, we know we want to go with voice over IP, but I've got a board of directors I've got to answer to, or I've got a church board I've got to answer to, or an accountant I've got to answer to, or investors I've got to answer to. While we know that we want to go to voice over IP because we know it's a better technology and it offers more features and capability and room for growth than analog phone systems or phone lines do, we need to be able to show, the powers that be, the savings. The savings, as I've just described to you, is typically significant. The funny thing is the savings is there for smaller companies, for people that have between 2 to 4 phones. When you start going 10 phones, 20 phones, 50 phones, 100 phones, 200-300 phones, which we've worked with those types of businesses too, like in call centers, this savings is astronomical when you look at the comparison of voice over IP to have multi-line capability for their staff in different departments versus an old phone system on analog that has the line capacity for the same thing, for multiple staff, call volume, and stuff like that. You're talking the difference between saving for smaller businesses, you would probably save hundreds of dollars. For bigger businesses, you would save thousands and sometimes in the tens of thousands of dollars. So again, the title to this video is Stop Paying Too Much for Analog Lines. It's the 21st century. 30-something% of the market is using VoIP. There's a reason for that. So if you're watching this and you're using analog lines, you like a better phone system or a better option, or you just like to go to something that can offer you the same or better of what you have with a lower monthly cost, give me a call. I'd love to find out what you've got. I'll see what I can do, and we'll look at everything apples to apples and make the numbers make sense. Again, I'm Prince Rich with Rich Technology Group. Thanks for watching our video, and I'll chat with you guys again soon.